Looking at 2018, that was my part in this, just kind of give you an update on acres. If you look, this is 2014 through 2018. And if you see this, we've had some pretty good years. And this past year was not any different. When you're up above 4,000 pounds per acre, that's pretty phenomenal. And I tell you, that does not take anything away from what everybody had happened with pecans and cotton and some other things. And one thing that we get our mind wrapped around was the significant thing that happened, and that was Hurricane Michael. In our situation this year, Hurricane Michael did do some damage to peanut, and some people were pretty significant, but it was the things that were going on before before the storm that caused some problems. As you can see, for the most part here, it doesn't look too bad. You would think after a year that we just had, you would have had more seg 2s and 3s, but we had very little compared to some of these other years. Especially like 2017, we had quite a bit more tons, but we also had a lot more acres. But if you go across here, there are some variations here. And last year, we had some irrigated peanut problems in 2017, and that's why I think we didn't have as good a year as we could have in 2017, or as, that should have been on up there as far as pounds per acre. This year was the same way. We had about 60%, maybe 55-60% of our crop at least somewhat harvested before the storm hit, and we were having problems. And at the middle part of the year, I wouldn't have said we'd made 4,000 pounds per acre, but it changed. We had some things that did a little bit different this past year, and one of those was our dryland crop stepped up and gave us a lot more productivity than our irrigated because of all the rains. So again, just at the bottom, we were losing roughly 800 to 1,000 pounds of some irrigated land that was harvested before the storm. The storm hit, and we had about a 19% loss there with the storm with peanuts, which again was not that much considering we were also dealing with still disease issues, the rain after the storm, and then just the lateness of the storm, of the late planting crop altogether. So it's hard to put your finger on one thing that happened. I think it started when we tried to get planted. We had another rough time in May with all the rains, and then we just kind of continued on from there. But to end up with the 4,300 pounds per acre was pretty phenomenal. So hopefully that'll help us out this year as we're trying to make ends meet. I tell you, it's rough on the cotton and pecan dries. But just to kind of give you a comparison, 2017 was a little bit different than 2018, but if you go back to 2015, we had a phenomenal irrigated yield crop for the most part. We had some problems with dry land, but overall 15 didn't have as much rain as we did this year, so that can contribute to why we had some irrigated problems, because again, we were irrigating and then we get 4 or 5 inches behind every irrigation. So we just had too much rain there, and you can see that the light blue 2018, we had a lot more rain events through June, July, and August before it started drying off a little bit and then got wet again. So that hurt us a little bit. But look at this, relative humidity, and the light circles is 2018, the dark circles is 2015. 2015, we had much more of a uniform crop, root crop and limb crop. This past year, we only had more or less a root crop. And that, again, I thought we were losing some productivity because we were not seeing that real limb crop like we've been doing in some years. And this could help explain some of that. Again, relative humidity was quite a bit higher compared to 2015 last year. If you look at solar radiation this past year, you can just imagine we were quite a bit lower. Again, the light circles are 2018. You can see a lot more black above. That's 2015, had a lot more sunlight during the growing season. This past year, we did not. Now, does that contribute to being wet all the time? We had rains every other day, it seemed like. And does that contribute to disease issues? Did that play a role here? It probably did. Bob's going to talk a little bit about that. But, there was just some things that were a little bit different, even though the yields were pretty close at the end. If you look at temperatures, kind of the same way, even though they're not that much different, you can see that the 2015 was quite a bit better or hotter on the extremes than in 2018. So the cloudy weather, again, all this should make a little more sense here. Does that interfere with blooming issues? We had a hard time finding blooms during a major part of the productivity or the blooming period. So we had some problems early, and the reason I'm saying that is, again, we had Michael stuck in our head that was the main event. But I think if we didn't have these events happen, at least as significant as they were, we probably would have had a higher yield, state average than what we did. So we're still going to carry over quite a few acres. If you look, quite a few pounds for the next year. Looking at just growing degree days, again, all this is tying together. We were about 60 units behind for June, July, and August. As you can see, for September and October, we did catch up to do better than what we did in 2015. So that helped make some dryland crop. The storm actually helped us get a lot of the dryland crop out. We were very dry when that storm hit in some areas. So we've got some positives and negatives from all of this, related to the storm. It wasn't all bad. Weather was atypical last year. We always say we're looking for that typical year. I've never seen one, or at least I don't know if there is one. The true thing is, and this comes from Christy Henny Pilon, but if it was atypical last year, what do you think it's going to be this year? Hell, we're going to have another ride. It's a whole different roller coaster ride this year probably. So it's going to be the same, and it's going to be probably the year after that. So, we need to do some things as we go forward. In these county meetings, please go to them. We are going to talk about trying to put the money where it matters, to remain profitable. The industry is not looking for another 700,000 acre year. We would like, or at least the industry, if you look as many pounds we're carrying over, we probably need to stay at the acres we are now or drop a little bit to get this inventory down a little bit. But will that happen? Well, that's going to be all dependent on what cotton does. And so we'll have to see what cotton does in the next few years. Contract prices are probably going to be like they were last year. I don't think they're going to be any better. Seed and input costs, some of them will be increased, so we're going to have to deal with that. And that's where we're getting at. We spend a lot of money in some things we probably don't need to be spending on trying to make a crop. And we probably need to try to put them where we know that we can get a profit from them. So let's just do what we can, watch what we're spending our money on, at least ask questions. That's what this session is all about, to give you a chance to ask questions. And if you don't want to ask them in public, by all means, catch us right afterwards and let's talk one-on-one. Know your situation. Again, you're going to hear some of them talk today, and Bob's probably the same way. Know your budgets. And again, I hope we can finally get out of 2018. Not quite there yet. We're still digging and trying to get the cotton out of the field. Had a few peanuts I heard that's still being dug at this time. Some of them been left in the field and some of them walked away. So we got still some things to take care of. Hopefully everything will get kicked off and we can move forward. With that, again, like to say thanks to all the Peanut Commission, the National Peanut Board, as well as the Georgia Seed Development, because again, they kind of paved the way for us to do this work, to kind of get the information to pass out to you guys.